back to the channel. If you're new here, I am Anna and I'm a little bit spooky, and today we're extra spooky because today we are doing a Morticia Addams inspired glam. And this is how it came out, spoiler. So yeah, if you want to see how I got this look using all drugstore products, the majority of which are from Wet n Wild, just go ahead and keep on watching. But before you do, go ahead, like and subscribe, comment down below, and let me know some more spooky looks you would like to see this spooky girl fall. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this Morticia Addams realness. Alright, we are going to be doing a Morticia look today, and I think we're going to keep it as drugstore as I possibly can. But I did pick up this Wet n Wild palette with this look in mind. This is the Nude Awakening palette. It's got some nice, really cool tone brownie gray shade in here, a nice kind of soft black, and a nice transition shade. I think there's a lot we can use in this to get a nice Morticia glam. This is mostly what we're going to work on the eyes. I have already done my brows and I really kind of rounded them up and arched them to look a little bit more like Angelica Houston's Morticia, because that's who we're kind of inspired by, is the Angelica Houston version. And I've already primed them and set them down with some number 7 translucent powder. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna straight into this palette right here from Wet n Wild, the Nude Awakening. And we'll probably take this lightest transition shade first. And you know what? We're gonna bounce into Venus Immortalis a little bit here, because I also want to use the white shade from this palette, Marble, and I'm gonna use that under the brow bone. Now I know Wet n Wild makes a palette that has a black and gray in it and a white in their look quad, and I will put it on the screen to show you what it is. That way you can fully recreate this look totally drugstore. I didn't see it at Target and then it slipped my mind. So the first thing I'm gonna do is hit just under the brow bone with the shade Marble. You could just use the bone shade in this palette. We'll see how that one looks first, and if we want to lighten it up. So, I don't know. Oh, actually that works. So yeah, let's take that right here under the brow, and I might go back later and use the white. That works as a brow bone highlight. I've got a pebble right here, right there. Isn't that great? But I'm going to take just a touch of Marble, just that white shade, and just hit right here. And her eyeshadow is incredibly cool tone and just basically gray, but I don't want to do just gray. I kind of want to do a little bit of a modern twist on the look, or how I would do makeup now, which is really inspired by the shape of the eyeshadow in her vibe, basically. So now on an e.l.f. fluffy brush, I am trying to keep this as drugstore as I can. I'm going to go into the Nude Awakening palette, and I'm going to take this first transition shade right here, which is like a just very neutral, almost cool taupe. This is the first time I've used this palette as well, so I don't know how it really performs. But if it's anything like any other Wet n Wild eyeshadow palette that I've gotten, as far as their big pans, they're usually pretty good. I'm just going to start taking that through the transition just to kind of build up a little bit of shape. And now her eyeshadow goes quite high, emphasizes the deep setness of her eyes. So we're going to try to mimic that on my little hooded eyes, my little shrimp eyes. And we'll probably do a little bit of a cut crease just to really emphasize that. We're going to bring this all the way up to this inner part of the brow. And I brought my brows down more right in here and really kind of did them more, a little more thin and arched. So I'm going to take a little bit of a smaller blending brush. This one's from BH Cosmetics. I'm going to go into a deeper transition shade right here. Start building that a little bit lower into the transition and socket line. And I'm going to see how gray this looks, and if I do want to go in with pure gray, we'll see. Actually, I think this might work. I'm pulling that out in this outer corner and really blending high and not blending anywhere on the mobile lid. Keep building. Honestly, this isn't that different how I normally do my eyeshadow, because I kind of emphasize that, because I do have deep set eyes. I just have shrimp eyes at the same time. They're small, but they're pretty deep set. Hers are just, Angelica's are just much larger than mine. Oh, I really like that color a lot. I'm just going to build up the depth really in that socket with this shade. This shade builds beautifully. Okay, I'm going to go back to the original e.l.f. brush and just around the edges. No additional product. Yeah, that pimple is going to look like I have a splotch there. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit more of that first transition shade. Just blend around. And the first thing I think of when I think of Morticia Addams is contour. Everything on her is very contoured. I'm going to take this little Morphe M562 and I'm going to go into the black shade now, which is this one. It's kind of a soft black. It's not like super duper pitch black. And I'm just going to take a little bit of it on this brush and knock off the excess so we don't overload it. And I'm just going to take this on this outer portion in the crease. And just lightly start building that up. Focus it more out here on this outer part, very lifted. So you're probably going to do a smoky wing because I feel like that just really suits this look. So you kind of want to start getting that darkness going out there. Alright, back to the smaller brush we used on the second transition shade. And I'm just going to blend that black into the other shades. You see, that's a pretty soft black. Like, it's not just over the top pigmented. It's a very usable, very user-friendly black. It's got a softness to it. Actually, I think that looks good. I don't think I am gonna jump into the Immortalis palette, aside from probably just using it as a mirror. Now, she really doesn't have a whole lot going on the lower lash line, so I'm not gonna do too terribly much down there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and cut the crease a little bit. I'm going to use e.l.f. Camo Concealer and a flat brush. And I'm going to take the inner part quite high. I'm going above the natural crease. Because she is kind of rocking a cut crease, but it's a very soft, kind of half cut crease is what we're going to do. It's blended, but it's still a bit defined. Unless I'm doing this just to cheat that more open eye look that she has. I'm going to clean off the Morphe M562, get all the black off of it, and I'm going to go back to the second transition shade, the gray brown, and just come around where we cut the crease and soften that edge. So I don't want it to be harsh. Her eyeshadow is very blended. It's just a very obvious like blank spot there, emphasizing her eye shape. This is kind of what we're cheating here. Essentially making ourselves a new crease. Blending brush. And then I'm going to take a smaller brush here. This is a Morphe 512 and I'm going to go into the black and start to build up this outer corner. Ever so slightly blended in here. e.l.f. blending brush and just soften all it out. Just make sure everything is blended. Because her shadow does come over, but it does it quite high and further in towards the nose. It starts to go into a contour. So that's what we're kind of aiming towards here. You see I'm taking the color up here though, above the cut crease. There's not hardly anything on this product, it's just on this brush, just what's left over. And I'm just kind of working it right here, lightly. And try to get them even on both sides. A little bit more of the transition shade, the grayish brown just right here. Right under the brow. Kind of heading into that transition, or into that nose contour. We will go back and touch that up when we do our nose contour. Now on her lid, she has kind of a pearly shade. It's not really a silver, but it is a definite like pearl sheen. And I think there is a nice little shade in here that will work in this Wet n Wild palette. If not, I'll probably use my face highlighter. I'm just taking some of that transition shade, the first one, just really making sure everything is blended. Just clean this brush off and I'm just gonna soften that where it flows onto the lid in this little gradient. Now on her lid she has kind of a pearlescent shade, but it's not necessarily a super pigmented shade. I feel like that concealer just looks a little too white on the lid anyway. Yeah, this shade right here doesn't really have much color to it at all, so I think it will work on the lid and kind of get rid of that bluiness going on, hopefully. So I'm gonna take that on a flat brush and see how it goes. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna pop that right over where we applied the concealer. That is definitely neutralizing color. Yeah, the shade doesn't really have like a very strong base shade to it. It's just more of a sheen. I'm just gonna work that onto the lid where we carved it out and let that, make sure it blends into the rest of the eyeshadow. So I don't want any choppiness in there, so it's gonna be a look that requires a lot of blending, just because of the nature of the shades we're using. They tend to be a little bit trickier to work with, grays and blacks, blending into something so pale. And of course, once the liner and the skin is done, it'll all really come together. There's always just this little awkward part in the middle of getting there, especially with the cut crease. Okay, that's actually doing the trick. Alright, I just want to soften this little edge right here, just right in here. Just kind of soften that out with a clean brush. Okay. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Grayish brown shade in right out here. Because I want things to be soft. Soft yet defined and contoured. And pretty dramatic. I mean, Morticia's dramatic. You know, I feel like she would appreciate a good deal. She would use Wet n Wild. I also think she would use like Ritual de Fil. I think she would use kind of alternative, luxurious brands. She would shop at boutiques, makeup boutiques in the French Quarter. That shimmer shade has a beautiful glow to it. I'm just gonna use my finger just to blend. Sometimes I think a finger just kind of fixes something that a brush isn't quite getting. Now for just under the brow, I'm gonna clean this brush off. I'm gonna take a little bit of that shimmery shade and we hit right here. She does have a very strong, like, defined brow bone, and there does look like a shimmer right here as well. I'm gonna take a black gel liner. I haven't used a gel liner in some time. I thought I didn't have one, and lo and behold, I do. So I'm just gonna do a nice little wing here. I'm gonna start right here on this outer part of the lash line and just come out. She doesn't have like a super like crazy thick liner, but there is some there. Yeah, she really doesn't have a whole lot of liner going on. It's more eyeshadow. So I'm gonna merge this with the eyeshadow. I just want that definition. And what I'm gonna do is take the black eyeshadow and kind of smoke that into that wing and just create a very smoky wing. Just softening that line and bring it up. Just letting that kind of come up into the socket line here. Just right to about here and stopping to make her eyes look more shaped like hers. Blending brush. Soften any harshness. Just make sure it is looking very blended. And I'm going to tight line this upper lash line. I hate tight lining, but I like the way it looks. I kind of figured I would show you how I'm going to clean this fallout and kind of elongate the eye with a Q-tip in my face primer, just because I feel like it's kind of important to this look to include that. I don't usually always show this step, but I've taken a little bit of my Magic Perfecting base from L'Oreal. I take a little bit and I kind of just put it on the back of my hand off a Q-tip. I'm gonna work that into the Q-tip like this. I like the pointy Q-tips for this. And just come right here. And it works like an eraser. Just clean that line right up. I'm just gonna follow this kind of curve up. That, swoop it up towards the tail of the brow, but not super straight up. Just curving it ever so slightly up. I'm rounding it. And before I clean the rest of the fallout, go ahead and do any last minute blending right here. Now I'm gonna go do my face and we're right back to finish this up. Okay, and we're back. Skin is done. I took the L'Oreal Fresh Wear foundation in the shade Pearl, mixed it with a little bit of white mixing medium foundation mixer to kind of make it a little more pale, because Morticia is very pale. And yeah, so everything down with some powder and touched up my brows, kind of elongated the tail down just a little bit to really give that arched look, and then put on some lashes. These lashes, I can't remember what kind they are, but they're one of the faux mink ones from Ardell, but they're very flared at the end, kind of taper, cat eye shaped, and I cut the ends and then double stacked the ends onto them to make them fit my eye. But it also gives that kind of heaviness on the outer corner the way that Morticia has. It's just a little bit of a heavier outer corner vibe. They're not like crazy huge lashes, they're just really full in the outer bit. I think they just work for this look. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and jump into some blush contour business. I'm just going to use NYX Blush and Taupe for this because I think that's kind of the perfect shade. Very Morticia Addams kind of blush. I'm going to apply it on an angled brush. This is a Wet n Wild angled brush. This is kind of double as our blush because she doesn't really look like she has a lot of any blush on. It's more of just a grayish contour. So I feel like we can kind of two birds one stone with this. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it like I would a contour. And just fluff it up. It has like a purple in it. But apply it a little more broadly just so we get a little bit of that pinkiness from it as a blush. Because it does have like a little bit of a blue pink in it. Look at this pimple. Oh, I hate that. It just eyeshadow like clings on. Ooh, I hate that. We're going to build this up quite a bit. She does have this very strong contour going. And as it builds up, it does get kind of that gray cast to it. It's a very weird shade. It's odd that it was a blush shade. I'll do a little bit on the nose just to get a little definition. I'm going to focus it right here. She has a very strong contour right in this portion. I kind of let that blend into the eyeshadow a little bit. It's a fluffy brush. It doesn't have any product on it now. I'm just going to round to really tile that in. Alright, I'm going to go into my highlighter now. I'm going to use the Wet n Wild loose highlighter in You Glow Girl, which is kind of a little bit of pink in it, but it's more of an icy color. Just hit right up here. It doesn't look like she really has like cheek highlighter. That really wasn't a thing when the movie came out. But yeah. I feel like if she was gonna wear a highlighter, it would look like this. Why do I have a hive popping up right there? Why? Surprise hives. Now I'm gonna take this on the inner corner. In there, extra glow. Because it does look like she has quite an inner corner highlight going on. And just kind of let that float into the eyeshadow a little bit. She definitely has a highlighted brow bone. And maybe not her cheekbones, but her brow bone is highlighted. And that is the face basically complete. Lower lash line, she really doesn't have a whole lot going on the lower lash line other than some black liner, so I'm gonna do that. Use the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Gel Eyeliner Pencil. I'm gonna just start the outer corner. I'm not gonna go like right into the waterline with it. I'm gonna get right into the lashes at least. So I'm just gonna do it kind of lightly, just right into the lashes. This little brush right here from Morphe, this is a M152. Go back into our eyeshadow palette, take a little bit of the black just on one side, knock off the excess, and I'm gonna kind of make sure the black is facing up. I'm just gonna smoke that just a little bit. Just smudge it more than anything. Now on the inner corner, I want to take my little angled liner brush that I used for the initial application of liner. I'm gonna take that darker brown and I'm gonna use that to elongate the center corner just a bit. It doesn't really look like they did on her, but she has the liner coming all the way in, and I just think this looks good on my eyes shape, so I'm gonna do it. And she does have some inner corner highlight going on the bottom, so I'm just taking the brush that had the highlighter on and just kind of run that across. Now I do a little setting spray, which we'll use Wet n Wild Natural Finish. For lips, I'm gonna go in with first the Superstay 24-Hour Lip Color from Maybelline. I'm gonna let that dry for a minute. I want to go back to the nose contour for just a second because I do think hers is a little bit more defined. So I'm actually going to take a little bit of that eyeshadow, the lightest transition shade here, and just kind of work it right here, just real lightly. She has a very defined nose contour. Okay, and I'm going to do a little mascara. I'm just going to pop on some of the Lash Princess from Essence just to blend the lashes in. Yeah, I just touched my eyebrow with my mascara. Alright, and now to just finish off the lip, I'm going to take the glossy end of this Maybelline Superstay. Because it does look like she always has kind of a glossy red lip going. It doesn't really appear matte very often to me. Okay, I'm going to pop on some jewelry, zhuzh the hair, and we'll be back for the finished look. Okay, and here is the whole Morticia Addams beat. All complete. Do I have lipstick on my teeth? Probably. I always do. Yeah, this is a complete using all drugstore products. I ended up doing nothing but drugstore. I did not reach for the Immortalis palette to do this look. And yeah, the majority of it is from Wet n Wild. I decided to accessorize with just a simple little hematite earring and a statement ring and some red nails because Morticia doesn't really have like a whole lot of jewelry on. So yeah, I just popped on a little silk robe and this is the completed look. If you'd like to follow along with me today, hanging out, seeing how I got this look, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know some more spooky looks you would like to see. I will see you guys in the next one. Stay spooky and stay safe. Happy Halloween.